Drinkers and dreamers, we're one and the same. Drinking and dreaming to run from the rain. Throw our bags down, the waterfall's too fast to be walled off. We'll make a home in the mud and hope for an olive bud. May have lost our way, do not count us lost. We may have lost our way, do not count us lost. The smell of sea and the light of the moon, pockets of America still feel new.
Okay, this is just a quick video on testing your solar panels. I'm up here in Barrie, Ontario, Canada, end of February, and starting to think about boating season. I use flexible solar panels on our boat. We have 700 watts, and I like to test the panels prior to installing them each year. They do have to come off in the winter, so each year I like to test them, and it can save me some headaches later on, because if I have one that's failing, I know prior to installing it. Mine are also set up in parallel, so there's a lot of wires to connect. This way, at least I know I've eliminated that one problem. I initially did this and had some video. Unfortunately, I lost it, so I'm redoing it quickly. I did have a bit of a learning curve when I started this whole way of testing this. I bought several multimeters trying to figure out what I needed to actually test this. Now I've got to figure it out so I can pass it on to you. Maybe it'll save you guys some time and give you a new skill that you can at least test your panels. Also, if you have them already hooked up and they're installed and you're having problems, other than using an amp clamp, this is another technique that you can use. Okay, so in order to test the solar panels with them not hooked up to anything, you require a multimeter like this. And the multimeter has to have this 10 amp input, and it can only test panels up to 10 amps. So that's critical. I take the red lead out, you put the red lead in here. Okay? Then you're gonna switch it over to 10 amps. Select that, and now that's 10 amps DC. You see that little symbol shows DC, AC, DC. So here's two solar panels. The one that I have upright right now is an older one that I purchased on eBay from China. It did well for a few years. It's a little bit larger than the other one. It's 120 watts. The new one that's on the bottom is 100 watts. The top one, I believe, is supposed to put out approximately 6.4 amps max. The bottom one is about an amp less, about 5.4. Anyways, I'll just show you a quick and easy way on how to test these. Okay, so we have the multimeter on. We're going to take the positive lead, put it into the positive, negative into the negative, and it'll give us our reading. This is showing 3.759 amps, so it's putting out about approximately half of what it's rated for at 3.8. Okay, doing the same thing with the new panel. Mind you, this one is only 100 watts, the other one's rated for 120. Just put them in like that, and we are reading 6.54. So it's actually doing almost an amp more than what it should be. 6.55. So one that's rated at 120 is putting out around 3.5, and this one's putting out about 6.5, even though it's 20 watts smaller. There you see it. That one's about 6.5 with the new panel, 100 watts. And by the way, this panel is from Marine Solar Innovation in Toronto. Not sponsored by them, but highly recommend them. They've been great. So here's the old panel, putting it 4.2. Should be up over 6, and today's a very cold day. As you saw, the other panel was sort of overachieving. So this should be up around 7. So it's putting out a little bit more than half of what it should. So the method I just showed you is a great way to check your panels. I check my panels when I purchase new ones so that I can have it evaluated basically before the warranty period's over, in case there's a delay like we have here with the snow. Make sure that they're all putting out what the plate on the back says that they should be. This method is also really good for troubleshooting. If you have several panels and the total array is not putting out what it should, well, you got to figure out which panel it is. As far as I know, there's 2 ways of really doing that. There's a method I just showed you, and then the other method is using an amp clamp, which is really valuable as well. The nice thing with this, I can do it prior to setting it all up, so I don't have to sort through everything. It eliminates one of the factors that could lead you to an array that's not putting out as much as it should, and you may never know. So if you have to take down your panels every year, I recommend that you do this prior to putting them up. It may save you a lot of time. So for those of you that don't know, this is a multimeter with an amp clamp. That's the yellow jaws on the top. They open and close. All you have to do is put that around a positive wire, and you're able to test the amp going through that wire. So I use this on my solar, and I just put one of the wires inside, close it. You don't have to break the housing or anything, and it will read the amps that's going through. Important to know, you only put one wire through it at a time. If you put both positive and negative, it will equal each other out and you will get no reading. You can use this AC, you can use it DC. I can test what my alternator's putting out at any given time. I can check my charger and see what my charger is doing by just placing this around it. Very, very useful. You need to have it hooked up, and you need to have a draw on it in order for it to work. So that's the difference between the method I just showed you and the amp clamp.